To some, it might sound wild, even inappropriate, but buried inside that reaction is a deeper truth, one that most men have never been taught to recognize, because what happens in intimacy, it's never just about the physical act, it's about what that act represents, what it reveals about you, about her, about the space you create between you. This isn't about technique, it's about presence, about how your energy leads when words fall away, about the stillness in your body that tells her, I'm not here to take, I'm here to see you. A woman doesn't just want to be touched, she wants to be felt, to be understood, to be honored by a man who's grounded, a man who doesn't rush, who doesn't perform for approval, but who responds to her with calm awareness. That's where the real power is. Because when a man shows up with that kind of presence, mentally, emotionally, physically, she doesn't just surrender, she respects him, she remembers him, not because of what he did, but because of who he was while doing it. That's what separates the boy who takes from the man who transforms. And the truth is, in a world of noise, distraction, and ego, a still man becomes unforgettable. He doesn't chase attention, he commands it with his silence. If you've ever wondered what makes a woman truly open, not just her body, but her soul, you're about to find out, and when you do, you'll never show up the same way again. Let's begin. There's something unforgettable about a man who doesn't just look at a woman. He sees her, not just with his eyes, but with presence. He touches her skin, but also reaches her thoughts. He whispers into her ear, but leaves an echo in her heart. That's emotional presence. And in today's world, where most men rush, perform, or pretend, presence is rare. It's quiet. It's powerful. It's sexy. It's what separates the man she remembers from the boy she forgets. Because most women aren't craving loud dominance. They want silent depth. A man who stays in the moment, who feels the shift in her breath, the pause in her voice, the signals in her eyes, and responds not with panic or control, but with calm strength. Emotional presence isn't perfection. It's stillness. It's how you listen without interrupting, how your hand moves with intention, how your breath settles hers when she tenses in doubt. Most men touch with their ego. They chase performance, approval, or outcome. But when you show up fully present, she doesn't just feel touched. She feels safe. Safe to open her body, safe to open her truth. And that kind of safety, it's what arouses her most, not just physically, but emotionally, because the most seductive man is the one who doesn't need to prove anything. He's not afraid to slow down, to hold her gaze, not to dominate, but to truly connect. He moves with care, because he values what's in front of him. When you bring emotional presence, foreplay becomes memory, silence becomes trust, and every touch becomes an invitation. Here's what most men miss. Pleasure doesn't begin between her legs. It begins in her nervous system. If your energy is anxious, chaotic, or outcome obsessed, she'll feel it. Her mind might say yes, but her body will say no, and she'll leave unsatisfied, even if everything looked right. But when you're fully present, you offer something rare: stability, leadership, a space where she can surrender, not just with her body, but with her soul. She breathes easier when she's around you. Her shoulders lower, her voice slows. She softens not out of weakness, but because she feels safe. That softness is not to be controlled, but honored. And when a woman feels safe enough to melt, she begins to crave more than touch. She craves the man who gave her that safety. That's why presence, true emotional presence, is more seductive than any technique. You can be the most skilled lover in the world, but if your mind is somewhere else, if you're performing for validation or chasing a reaction, she'll feel it, and her body will respond with hesitation, not surrender. The truth is, most men are taught to focus on performance, to learn moves, to impress her with control. But what if I told you that what she actually desires is a man who listens without words, a man who touches her like she's sacred, not like she's a trophy, a man who slows down because he values what's in front of him, not because he's unsure, but because he's intentional. Real presence isn't passive, it's active stillness. It's sensing when her breath catches and knowing not to rush. It's noticing the hesitation in her body and meeting it with calm. It's syncing your energy with hers, not to take control, but to create connection. When you're truly present with a woman, she will feel it in every fiber of her being, and she will remember it long after you've left the room, because you didn't just touch her body, you touched her nervous system. You regulated her energy without trying to fix her. You brought her back to herself. Presence turns foreplay into memory. It turns silence into safety. It turns each movement into a message that says, I see you. I value you. I'm not here to take, I'm here to meet you. That's what makes presence sexier than skill. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Because here's the part most men never learn. A woman's body remembers. She remembers the man who rushed and the one who paused. She remembers the one who asked with his eyes and the one who assumed with his hands. She remembers how she felt in your presence, not what you did, but who you were when you did it. And when she feels respected in the most intimate moment, she doesn't shrink. She expands. She becomes louder, more open, more expressive. She gives more because she's not performing either. She's revealing. That's the real connection most men never reach. Because they're too focused on performance to be present, too focused on dominance to be in sync, too focused on outcome to feel her truth. But when you touch her with reverence, when your hands slow down to read her like scripture, when your lips pause just above her skin to listen, she knows. She knows you're not here to conquer. You're here to connect. And that's what makes her crave you. Not because you were the best, but because you were the most real. So remember this, presence is not about doing more. It's about doing less with full awareness. It's not about what you say. It's about what your silence communicates. And when a woman senses that level of depth, she won't forget you. Because in a world full of noise, you became the quiet she didn't know she needed. It's not about being the best. It's about being the most real. The next time you're with her, slow down. Let her see softness in your eyes as you undress her. Let her hear quiet in your voice, not a performance. Let her feel your presence, not your need. Because respect isn't just something you believe in, it's something you show. With your breath, with your gaze, with your stillness. And when she feels that, she opens. Every time you honor her softness, she sinks deeper into your strength. Her moans, they're not just pleasure. They're trust made audible. Surrender disguised as sound. Most men don't understand that. They chase control. They want to lead with dominance. They treat intimacy like a conquest. They want her legs open, her breath short, her body conquered. But a man who wants her soul, he doesn't take, he invites, he doesn't rush. He reaches, not harder, but deeper. And that kind of reach doesn't start in your hands. It starts in your mindset. Pleasure isn't something you extract. It's something you offer. And when it comes from presence, from attention, from reverence, she transforms. She becomes radiant, wild, and fully feminine. Because a woman who feels safe enough to feel it all becomes more than turned on. She becomes unforgettable. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her soul begins to open, not just her body, but something far deeper, her truth, her essence, her wild and sacred feminine energy. She becomes electric, alive, uninhibited, not because you impressed her, but because you made her feel safe enough to be fully herself. That's the part most men miss. They aim to excite her body, but forget that her desire begins in her nervous system. She doesn't surrender to performance. She surrenders to presence. Her pleasure isn't a reaction to your ego, it's a reflection of your depth, of your ability to stay with her energy, to hold space when she's soft, and stay grounded when she's wild. It's in how your fingertips move like whispers, how your eyes listen before your hands do, how your breath matches hers without trying to lead or dominate. It's how you pause, how you wait, how you ask more or less, not with your mouth, but with your attention. That kind of awareness creates the space she needs, not to perform, but to melt. Before you touch her, she already feels you. The steadiness, the calm, the silent message that says, "I'm not here to take. I'm here to meet you." That's what arouses her. Not the words, not the moves, not the pressure, but the fact that you see her. There is a quiet power in a man who attunes to her rhythm. Like a musician adjusting to an instrument, he reveres, not to control it, but to draw out its purest sound. This man doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't perform dominance. He embodies presence because he understands her climax isn't a goal. It's a sacred offering. And if she gives it, it's because she feels safe, held, respected. But this kind of surrender is not for everyone. It must be earned, and it starts with your intention. Do you touch her to awaken her, or to validate yourself? Are you kissing her with reverence, or replaying something you saw on a screen? She feels the difference. Every woman does. She can feel when you're with her, and when you're in your own head. She can feel when your energy is clean, and when it's needy, when she feels your presence, not your performance. Everything changes. Her body lets go. Her voice slows. Her chest softens. She collapses into you, like you're the safest place she's ever known. That's when you understand. Her pleasure is your power, not because you caused it, but because you held space for it. And when that happens, you become more than a lover. You become a mirror, a memory, a sanctuary. So don't pride yourself on how many women you've been with. Take pride in how many women felt honored in your presence. That's what she'll remember. Not what you did, but who you were while doing it. Every woman remembers the man who touched her like she mattered, not just with his hands, but with his heart, his breath, his silence. Because touch is never just physical. It's emotional, it's energetic, it's spiritual. She will remember if your hands felt like a weight or like a whisper. If they claimed her or if they cherished her. She will remember if you rushed through her body like you were chasing something, or if you lingered like you were in awe. The way you touch her shapes how she sees herself. If you rush, she feels unworthy. If you grope, she shrinks, even if she moans. But when you slow down, when you trace her skin like sacred ground, she feels radiant. She feels seen. She feels safe. That safety becomes her surrender. And that surrender not just physical, but emotional, is the gateway to her deepest feminine power. When she feels safe, she lets go. She becomes louder, wilder, more open. Not for you, but with you. Because now, you're not someone who took her. You're someone she chose to give herself to. And that is what transforms her. That's what makes you unforgettable. Your hands aren't just tools of pleasure. They're messages. They're anchors. They're prayers that say, you are safe. You are beautiful. You are enough. Now imagine this. You touch her, not with hunger, but with reverence. Not to control, but to understand. Not to get something, but to honor what's already there. You don't have to say it. She'll feel it. In the way you hold her hand, in the way your voice softens, in the way your presence stays, even in silence. And that's when the magic happens. That's when she softens for you. Not because you were perfect, but because you were real. So if you want to awaken the divine feminine in her, don't chase the result. Create the conditions. Be present. Be patient. Be grounded. Because the most powerful man in her life isn't the one who conquers her, but the one who sees her, holds her, and makes her feel safe enough to surrender. And that, my brother, is the kind of man she never forgets. Were you present? Were you grounded? Were you honoring the sacred in her? Or were you just chasing release? Because a woman touched with love, not lust, doesn't crave technique. She becomes drawn to your presence, to the calm in your energy, to you. And when your presence changes the way she sees herself, she doesn't just want your hands on her, she wants your hands in her life, your arms holding her future, your soul connected to her freedom. That's real power, not in making her climax, but in making her feel. If you can do that, you won't just be the man she sleeps with. You'll be the one she transforms with, because no woman surrenders where she doesn't feel safe. You might think she's pulling away because she's shy, guarded, or complicated, but often it's simpler than that. She's still scanning your energy, looking for safety, not just physical protection, but emotional, psychological, and spiritual security. Her entire being, body, mind, and soul, is quietly asking, can I let go here? Or will I regret it? Most men don't realize this. They think gaining her body means gaining her heart. But true intimacy isn't about undressing her skin. It's about making her feel held, honored, and emotionally secure. That kind of surrender isn't bought with gifts. It's not earned through charm or clever words. It comes from one thing: emotional safety. And that doesn't come from being nice. It comes from being centered. Being a man who doesn't flinch when she's emotional, who stays steady when she's uncertain, who holds the storm of her feelings without losing his ground. Here's what no one tells you. The feminine will test you, not to break you, but to protect herself. When she gets emotional for no clear reason, when she grows distant or difficult, she's not trying to sabotage anything. She's checking if she's safe enough to surrender. Your job isn't to fix her, persuade her, or plead. Your job is to become the space where her defenses melt on their own. When you stay calm during her storms, you're saying, your emotions are welcome here. When you listen without defending, you're saying, you matter to me. When you don't punish her complexity, you're saying, you no longer have to hide. And when she feels that, when she knows you won't abandon her in her mess, or use her vulnerability against her, that's when she starts to bloom. She'll become softer, more open, more expressive, more of herself. Because surrender isn't something she gives easily. It's something a man must unlock, and you do it through how you show up in her fear, not just her fantasy. She won't open her deepest self to a man who lacks discipline, emotional maturity, or presence. She's watching you, always. She watches how you handle pressure, how you speak when angry, how you show up when she's glowing, and when she's breaking. To her, safety isn't built in the bedroom. It's built in the little things, in how you treat the waitress, how you talk about your ex, how you handle failure, and how you speak to yourself when no one else is around. She sees all of it, and it reveals your truth. When that truth says, "This man is grounded, this man is safe," that's when her body softens. That's when her heart opens. That's when she offers parts of herself she's never shown another soul. Because when a woman surrenders, she's not just saying, "I trust you." She's saying, "I trust myself with you." Let that sink in, because that is the highest honor a man can ever earn. If you want a woman to surrender, don't chase her body. Don't try to impress her with words. Become her calm in the middle of chaos, the stillness in her storm, the strength that doesn't try to control, but quietly holds. And when you become that man, she won't just lie beside you. She'll rise with you. That's not seduction. That's devotion. That's not performance. That's presence. And presence like that is unforgettable. You don't need to raise your voice, or flash your wealth, or fight for her attention. You just need to be still, still in her storm, still in your emotions, still in your own skin. Because the man who stays grounded when everything shakes is the one women feel drawn to, even if they can't explain why. That's the essence of Stoic masculinity. Not cold or robotic, but the quiet fire beneath the surface, the deep-rooted oak that doesn't move. When the wind howls, life will test you. Love will test you. She will test you, not to hurt you, not to play games, but because the feminine needs to know the man holding her won't break when things get messy. A Stoic man responds. He doesn't react. He doesn't panic in uncertainty. He doesn't lose himself chasing validation. He remains centered. And that's what makes him magnetic. When a man walks in with Stoic strength, the energy shifts, not because he's loud, but because he's certain. His silence speaks. His eye contact calms. His posture is composed. And his energy says, "I don't need to prove anything. I know who I am." Women feel this, not like a shock, but like a slow burn. It seeps into their nervous system and melts the walls, built by boys who begged, performed, or crumbled under pressure. When she feels your stillness, she relaxes, not because you control her, but because you don't try to. That's the paradox of masculine power. The most powerful men aren't the ones who shout, they're the ones who stay still. Stoic masculinity isn't about being numb. It's about having emotional discipline. You feel deeply, but you don't drown. You hear her pain, but you don't try to fix it from fear. You see her triggers, but you stay rooted, because your presence is enough. No one tells you this, but women don't want a man who feels nothing. They want a man who feels everything, but isn't ruled by it. They want to know that when they unravel, you stay whole. That when they cry, you get calmer. That when they feel lost, you become their anchor. Not through control, not through force, but through quiet leadership. That's the man who leaves a mark. The one she feels safe around, even when you say nothing. The one whose grounded presence lets her soften. You don't need to chase her. You don't need to win her. Just be the man who helps her exhale in a world that keeps making her hold her breath. That's what Stoic men do. And in a time where most men are chasing validation, addicted to distraction, and always comparing, the man who stays present, who breathes deeply, who knows his value, without needing to explain it, he becomes the lighthouse, the gravity, the one she orbits, not because she has to, but because everything in her wants to. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. If you're tired of being dismissed or misunderstood, don't raise your voice, lower your heart rate. Don't go cold, go deeper. Let your presence say what your words can't. Let stillness be your language. Let that quiet strength invite her to soften, because Stoic masculinity isn't about being hard, it's about being immovable. And in a world drowning in noise, the quiet man becomes unforgettable. At night, when she lies alone in the dark, the one she remembers isn't the funniest, the wealthiest, or the most charming. It's the man she felt, not the one who touched her skin, but the one who made her feel safe, who held her without words, who reached past her body into something unspoken. The man she dreams about isn't perfect. He didn't try to impress her. He didn't flinch at her truth. He listened. He didn't fix. He understood. He touched her with reverence, like she was both powerful and delicate. He knew what most men miss. Her desire starts with feeling safe. Before she opens her body, she must trust you with her heart. Before she gives her soul, she must know you can hold her shadows. So how do you become that man? Not through tricks, not through pretending, but by being present, fully, calmly, deeply. When you're with her, be there. No performance, no distractions, no hidden agenda. Phone off, eyes steady, energy saying, you're the only thing that matters right now. And that, not your looks, your lines, or your resume, is what makes you unforgettable. Your touch tells a story, not forceful, not rushed, but slow, aware, and deliberate. Like you're not claiming her, you're learning her. Your voice matters too. Not loud, not performative, but calm, anchoring, the kind of voice that settles her breath before you even speak. This is what stays with her, not the flash, not the noise, but the stillness you brought into the room, the way you made her feel, held, heard, and safe, without needing to prove anything. She doesn't remember the man who tried the hardest. She remembers the one who didn't flinch when she was raw, who touched her with presence, not pressure, who looked at her like she was sacred, not a conquest. Because women don't crave tricks, they crave truth. Emotional safety is the beginning of desire. Before she opens her body, she needs to trust your stillness. Before she gives you her soul, she must feel your presence, can hold what's hidden in her. So how do you become the man she dreams of? Not by memorizing lines, not by chasing attention, but by being the space where her walls naturally fall away. By being grounded, by leading gently, by never needing to dominate, but always making her feel safe to surrender. When you do this, you stop being another guy. You become the comparison, the memory, the man who lingers in her silence. She'll remember the way her heart slowed around you, how she felt feminine without trying, how she felt safe without needing to ask. That's not fantasy, that's power. Real, unshakable, quiet power. So don't just want her, make her feel wanted, not just in bed, in how you look at her, in how you pause for her, in how you listen when she's unsure. Now step into that presence. Because this path, it's not about tactics, it's about becoming a man whose calm makes her exhale deeper. The moment he walks in, a man who sparks desire without saying a word, a man whose strength is never loud, but always felt. The world doesn't need more men trying to impress. It needs men who radiate truth, men who create safety without control, men who awaken desire without ego. So I ask you, will you apply this? Will you join the 1% who live from presence, not performance? Or will this be just another video that fades when it ends? If something stirred inside you, let me know in the comments. What will you apply first? What did you feel most deeply? Share your thoughts. Like this video. Subscribe if you're ready to lead with stillness, not noise. Stay grounded, stay rare, stay unforgettable. This is your time.